Hey guys, what's up? It's Kat. Thanks so much for stopping by my channel today. If you're new here, hi, how are you? My name is Kat. I read primarily romance book novels, as you can tell from the title of my channel, Kat Reads Romance. My channel is my passion project. I love being able to share books that I've read, talk about amazing authors, hear recommendations from you guys, and be able to give the amazing authors that I read visibility on the YouTube platform, which is such an enormous platform. So if I can help in some little way to get them on there, that's what I hope to do. I would love for you to take a second to subscribe to my channel. I also am on social media, Kat Reads Romance on Instagram and Facebook. Let's connect on there. Come on over and say hi. I share tons on Facebook from my author friends, new releases, cover reveals, all that kind of fun stuff. And I always post when I have a new video that has gone up as well. Today's book is by Annie Dyer. I have read several of Annie's books. I have read Smoldered, which is the Severton series. So when you look her up on Amazon, you'll see she's written quite a few books. So that's the Severton series. And then I read Mythical Creatures, and I read Changing Spaces, which is part of her Callahan Green series. I adored the books. I absolutely fell in love with Callahan, which is in the Mythical Creatures book. He completely changed the name Callum for me, thank God. I adore him. Her books are amazing. This book, Chandelier, is part of a 3-book series, so I guess technically a trilogy. It's called the Tarnished Crowns series, I believe. This is book 1, Chandelier, like I said. So different, and I love that. Her writing is completely different in this book. So let's talk about Chandelier. Chandelier's main character is Blair. Interesting in that, and Annie tells us this in the beginning of the book, that it's kind of an alternate world in that this book takes place in the present day if Scotland would have remained independent and has its own monarchy and government, and England has its own monarchy and government. Blair is the princess, her father is the king. Her family is her mom, her mom the queen, her dad the king, and her brother Lennox, who is the prince. Lennox is poised to take over the throne when their father steps down, and Blair is never going to be queen. She's the pawn in a lot of ways. You know, Lennox is groomed to be the king. They have a very close relationship. Their family does, and she does with Lennox. It's her only sibling. She loves him. She adores him. She feels a bit stifled, and I thought the way Annie wrote this, oh my gosh, I 100% know Blair as a character at the end of this book. I understand how she feels. We got to know her so well, and I love historical fiction, so this to me kind of was like historical romance, even though it's not real history and it takes place now, if that makes sense. Present day, I should say. But Blair is, you know, she's, how do I describe her? She has engagement she has to keep. She has presentations she has to make. She has a schedule to keep. She opens hospitals. She has to go to cocktail parties. She is representing the Scottish monarch. Guess who's snoring next to me? There's Macy. Anyway, so this book is about Blair. And there were times when I thought, God, she's so pretentious. But she's actually not. She was raised with wealth and the best of everything around her, and that's not her fault. So I took back that word, and I was like, you know what? No, she's not pretentious. This is just her life. And she yearns to go incognito and to not have any rules or limitations. She just wants to be nobody once in a while. And she has a couple people in her life that recognize that and give her that once in a while. But she's also a young woman who has never really had a boyfriend because everyone's got, you know, an ulterior motive with her. And even her friends, you know, she's very lonely. And, you know, it's quite timely in what's going on in England right now. And Harry, you know, I understood and I felt for her in a lot of ways. She second guesses everybody all the time. And I think that was it made my heart hurt for her, and it made her very endearing to me. So there is one person in her life that we learn about early on, and that is Ben. And he is basically the gardener's son. So the gardener, I mean, they have castles, you know, like when I say gardener, it's like not just the guy that comes to mow the lawn. So she met Ben. He was a couple years older than her, maybe 2. And she meets him and she's like, oh my God. And he was her friend. And then, you know, he just liked her and she just liked him, and they were just friends. And then they became a little bit older and a little bit, you know, here come the teenage years, and they are friends that have a little bit of benefits, and she's totally attracted to him. He's totally attracted to her. He kind of stops before they go too far all the time, where she wants more from him because she feels like he really sees her for her, not everything else, even though he's around and he understands. He's around and he understands, and he feels like she is being groomed for a life that it will be beyond him. And that was really kind of heavy. So there's some flashbacks, and we go back to their young years, because what we realize that she hasn't seen him for 11 years, that he left and he went into the military and he never came back. And she's like, he took my heart with him and he never came back. And then all of a sudden, he's the head of her security. They needed to hire a new head of security for her. Oops. They needed to hire a new head of security for her, and it's Ben. And of course, I mean, Annie did a fabulous job of describing what Ben looks like. And it was funny because in her Facebook group, she put like a couple of Pinterest collages, like, this is Ben, you know, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, oh yes, okay, I can envision what Ben looks like, and holy smokes. Okay, there's a lot of angst between them. This is kind of a political drama. So there's so many moving parts, and you're trying to figure out who's what player, what is going on here. And yet there's this whole side that is like, Blair is trying to find someone to ease the loneliness. So it was very, very opposite ends, and yet the story was written so beautifully, it just sucks you in. I very much felt like this book was like the beginning of like a really epic trilogy. Just when I thought that the story was going to kind of revolve around Ben and Blair, and will they, won't they, what's going to happen, where are they going to go, what are they going to do, in walks Isaac. And Isaac is the advisor to the Prime Minister of England. She takes one look at him and she's like, who's that? You know, somebody different in that he's in her world. Here he's like this powerful, they call him the kingmaker. He's this powerful, but he's not the king of England and he's not the prime minister, but he is the guy that's like in the know and is moving the pieces and is playing the game. And so he's in her world. And then there's Ben, who's in her world, but in a different way, very different way. He's her protector, he's her friend, he's her childhood sweetheart in a way. Okay, what's going on here? There's an edginess that I felt like through this whole book. Like I couldn't wait to turn the page. More than that, just an edginess, this walking on a very fine line. And that's Blair's whole life. The book is definitely sexy. We had to wait a little bit. We see some sexiness in some flashbacks, and we know that Blair herself likes to explore her sexuality. But I kind of wanted a little more. I was ready for more, for her to be able to experience it, whether it was going to be with some one night stand, or it was going to be with Ben, or it was going to be with Isaac, or it was going to be with somebody else. There are men that come into her life that she questions, and so I didn't know where, if she would, I knew she wasn't going to give her part of herself to them, but I wanted a little more intimacy. But that being said, I didn't know who I wanted her to be in that with. That's where the edginess was for me. I was like, where's this going? What are we doing? What's going on? There's so much said and unsaid in this book. It was like, and I think, of course, because it's the trilogy, that she's laying the groundwork here, and then we're going to get a little bit more in the second book, and then we're going to have the third book. This story is like playing poker and chess at the same time. You can't help but be completely immersed in it, trying to figure out what is going on and who is doing what. So good. I can't wait to share with you Grenade, which is the second book, and then Emeralds, which is the third book. I will be doing videos on them all, so make sure that you tune in to see those. Let me know if you have read Chandelier in the comments below, or any of Annie's other books, and out of those, which are your favorites. I will see you soon. Bye, guys.